Hello everybody, I am Jedi Jack Penguin and welcome back to another LEGO Star Wars review. So today I'm really excited to be taking a look at one of my few white whales from this theme, that being set number 7665, the Republic Cruiser. This set includes 919 pieces, originally retailing for $89.99 when it released in September of 2007. Now I remember seeing this set at my local Toys R Us and always asking for it, but I never got it because it was expensive for me as a kid. 2007, I think I was in maybe kindergarten, first grade. With it being at Toys R Us, no doubt it stuck around for maybe another year or two after that. But still, a lot of those sets from that 2006-2007 era that I remember seeing on shelves, I just never got because they were just too expensive. Thankfully, now at 23 years old, I now finally own this set in my collection. Unfortunately, I don't have the box, but I do have the instructions that we'll take a look at in just a minute. Though I also wanted to give a huge thank you shout out to my friend Luke, or no one of importance, for letting me buy this set off him. Very happy to finally add this one to my collection. Definitely a set that I'm going to keep on display long term. Now, speaking of those instruction manuals, you get two of them. Booklet number 1 and booklet number 2, mimicking the front of the box for the time period, with that Darth Vader up in the corner, Naboo in the background. Just beautiful, beautiful setting for this set. From the back of both instruction manuals, you'll find that same exact advertisement for the other sets that released alongside this one back in September of 2007, or at least some of the sets I believe also released earlier on in the year. Out of these, I do have a review for the General Grievous Starfighter, though that's not as modern as I would hope it to be. Eventually, I'll be reviewing this set, as I did just recently pick it up for $40, and the two battle packs. At some point, I will get around to reviewing those. Rest of these would love to own them in my collection someday. Specifically, these two from the bottom are just classic sets from that era of LEGO Star Wars. Also, from the back of booklet 2, you'll find your LEGO Club information, as well as some full-sized advertisements. You don't see this in LEGO Star Wars sets nowadays. So cool to see this coming fall 2007. LEGO Star Wars: The Complete Saga, the game that pretty much changed my entire life as far as the thing that got me into both LEGO and Star Wars. Again, just advertisements like this. You don't see it anymore from LEGO, and even though it is kind of weird seeing this whole situation, it's fine. I love LEGO making advertisements like this. I really wish that they would do that more often. And again, just seeing these sets all nice and big. As soon as I unboxed this package for my friend, the first thing I did was look at these instruction manuals and the advertisements. They're so beautiful. I seriously don't know why LEGO can't do this in their instructions anymore. I mean, yeah, it's gonna waste a lot of ink, but it's definitely going to be worth it in the end because you're gonna sell more sets, I think. And another thing we don't really see modern day LEGO sets do is advertise the play features nice and big. You'll also would have seen this on the box for the set, but it's nice to see them included in the instructions nevertheless. And lastly, I did want to flip right back to that first instruction manual and just point out something really interesting that I found when I started building this set. This is the set with two Obi-Wans, though not that particular Obi-Wan. I just think it's really hilarious that this is what they have pictured for the minifigures from the front of the instructions, considering some certain circumstances, which I'll be talking more about in just a few seconds. To begin our minifigure selection, we have Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn. Now, this is a figure that we hadn't seen LEGO make since 1999. This would be the first time that we'd be getting him with the light nougat flesh tone as well. First things first, there's something about this figure that you may notice as off, and that is the headpiece being used. And yes, that is the 2005 Episode 3 Obi-Wan facial expression. Now, some early productions of this set had this headpiece in place of what would be just a recolor of the original facial expression we got for Qui-Gon way back in 1999 in that flesh tone, which is just pure amazing. I mean, the reason why I wanted the set from the first place was when playing that LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga game and seeing that Qui-Gon figure in that game, matching this facial expression. I mean, I had no idea if the box that I would get would have this facial expression or the one that I just showed you, but still, it's just crazy to see that LEGO was able to give us that Qui-Gon facial expression in that color. Honestly, the only other thing that would make this any better is if they did include a hairpiece instead of just the hood, which in this case I am going to bring out the hairpiece, which was first recolored in 2011, a few years later, but there you go, we got a really nice Qui-Gon Jinn minifigure. Honestly, I'm gonna say this may be one of my new favorite minifigures in my collection, despite maybe the torso piece not being as great as it probably could be. I definitely think this is a top tier minifigure just purely because they have that facial expression that they made exclusively for this character. Now, speaking of that torso print design, this is another torso print that you would have seen for that episode 3 Obi-Wan Kenobi minifigure. You get the cape and you get the hood, which is perfect for that opening scene from the film. And again, only the one facial expression mimicking that 1999 figure. It's just wow. Alongside Qui-Gon, we also get his Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi, which this would also be the first time that we saw in episode 1 Obi-Wan since 1999. I think 2003 maybe we saw one, but it wouldn't be till 2011 till LEGO even took another shot at these two characters. Now, just like Qui-Gon, we get the same exact torso print, and we get the same exact situation where we get that brown cape and the hood, which is perfect for that opening scene. The one thing I want to touch on, which I just find really interesting looking at it now, is the fact that the facial expression being used for this young Obi-Wan is the same exact facial expression that they used for Luke Skywalker back in the day. And I never really noticed that at first, but it's just really interesting. It goes to show that LEGO is still reusing facial expressions across multiple characters and multiple eras no matter what, just to save a little bit of money. And I think it works fine, especially in this situation. This is the facial expression that I've always seen for that episode 1 Obi-Wan Kenobi. And the last thing that I didn't touch on when it came to Qui-Gon's minifigure that I want to talk about when it comes to this figure is the fact that we do get those light gray hilts for the lightsabers, which is a downgrade compared to what we had seen previously. 2007 was the first year that we saw these light gray hilts being used for all the Jedi figures, and we'd see that continue into 2008 with the Clone Wars stuff, but still it is a real shame that we no longer have those chrome lightsaber handle pieces, which were so amazing, one of my favorite pieces from LEGO Star Wars as well. Unfortunately, those had to go mainly due to peeling of the paint on those. Definitely not a good look for LEGO in that situation, so it is understandable why they don't exist anymore. Alongside the two Jedi ambassadors, we also get a Republic pilot. You can tell that this is the pilot because he has a pilot hat. We get a brand new torso print and that classic smiley face for this character. Only the printing from the front, with this being a 2007 figure. As for the Republic captain, it would be pretty much the same exact character, you just get a hairpiece instead of the pilot cap, and you'd also get an accessory of this binocular piece, which they don't show him holding it in the instructions. I just gave it to him because it was loose within the set. And then finally, to round out all the exclusive minifigures, we got a new astromech droid, this being R2-R7. We get brand new prints for the body, as well as the head wrapping all around, just like the classic R2-D2s back in the day. And we get those regular legs using the Technic pin connection, so you can move them back and forth, put them in a moving position. On to the final overall model for the Republic Cruiser. Honestly, if LEGO were to attempt remaking this set modern day 2025, if we were to see a new version of this set, no doubt it would be a lot smaller than it is now and use a lot more smaller pieces to accomplish some of those smaller fine details, probably omit a lot of those interior details, and for sure make those engines a lot more structurally sound, because that is probably the one part of this set that I have the most issues with out of everything. Starting from the front of the build and working our way to the interiors in the middle, we have the main cockpit, where we do have some trans clear pieces that you can slightly see through, though it's using the trans black instead of the trans white, so you can't really get too good a look. I'm going to place the ship right down. In order to access the cockpit, we do get a clip piece connection, so you can lift this up, and it does stay up on its own, which I appreciate. From the inside, you'll find a nice control panel, classic printed piece, as well as a tiled off area to sit your character, which I find really interesting that they did that. Honestly, I just find it a real big surprise, considering LEGO mostly like to have studded spots to sit your characters so then their legs would stick, but in this situation, you can just easily plop them in and remove him if you don't want to have him in the cockpit area. Unfortunately, the one downside is going to be the fact that you can only fit the one character, unlike in the scene that you see within the complete saga where you can see them both sitting side by side within the ship. Underneath the cockpit, probably one of my biggest surprises when it came to this set is the escape pod, which is where you can actually place your Jedi ambassadors to launch off to the Trade Federation ship. In order to access this, you have to pull this front part, and it's going to make a loud drop. Trying not to break this as it's very fragile. You can see that we have this little hole here, which is where you want to place this Technic area. And as you can see, when you slide this part out, we have these Technic axles, which go to a certain point where you'll be able to connect those Technic holes inside and latch it onto the bottom section. Speaking of the escape pod design, you can easily remove this top section just by lifting it up right over the Technic connections, and you'll find two very nice spots to sit your minifigures of both Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I just think it's really hilarious that you can hide them that much inside this set. I mean, I guess it's a nice gesture as far as a spot to put them as an escape pod for this vehicle to get them onto the ambassador ship and hopefully not fully explode this one. I also recommend removing their accessories because you won't be able to close it fully, they're gonna snap. And as I said, all you gotta do is pull this part back and find the hole in order to place that escape pod right back underneath the cockpit of the ship. Keeps the thing nicely intact. Onto the middle of the ship, you can see some greebling as well as another printed piece that was common for the time period. You'll also notice this little stick thing going on over here. This is actually a really interesting feature. I'm not even going to remove the top in order to show this. I'm going to place our ship down. Now you see this little stick piece right here. When you bring that forward, it's going to sneak out two very nicely hidden fake missiles. This is purely just for show, nothing actually shooting out. From the other side of the ship, you'll find the same thing, and it pushes that little side door out of the way in order to expose those fake missiles. Speaking of the interior of this set, where you can also see those hidden missiles a little bit better, you can lift up this middle section, which is just lying loose right there in the middle. You can see some of the pieces underneath that help keep this in place. Starting with this interior over here, we have a spot to place your astromech droid on those jumper plates. I'm gonna place them right here. Add some nice easy storage, and then we also have another spot for your captain. That also happens to include another printed piece as a control panel, nothing special, something we've seen in many other sets, even some that aren't Star Wars. From the other side's interior, we have two loose pieces that we can remove and take a closer look at. One being this little shuttle here, which has some controls with these levers. You can sit your minifigure down on the studded area, and you also get these wings that fold out. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know what to think about it. It's just another small little fun, weird thing that they included in a set like this. And then the other one, probably a little bit more interesting, we have this storage container where you can open these drawers up and you have some guns for your pilot as well as your captain. If you want to give them some accessories, it's nice that they include them. And both of those are just lying loose right there, nice and easy to remove, no stud connections. Placing that top section right back on. Gotta jiggle it in a little bit, It mirrors what you'll see from the bottom side as far as the shaping goes. Lots of studs exposed on this set, which I honestly don't mind. That was a common thing back in the day. Something that I didn't mention before, which maybe would have made this a little bit easier to handle, is the handle for the ship, which it's really cool to see that they had something like that included, that you can hold the ship from the top part over here. I'm not exactly sure how sturdy that's going to be because, as you saw when I lifted it up, it did move a little bit, so no doubt over time this may snap if you use this consistently as a handle. So I definitely recommend still just holding it from the bottom of the ship because that's probably the best way to handle this thing. But still, the inclusion of a handle is a nice gesture. From the back of the ship, you'll find this rotating radar dish. You get quite a few of those. You even see some smaller ones from the sides and from this side as well, and these are connected using some battle droid arm pieces so you can adjust them. And this middle one you can spin to your heart's content. Though if you don't like spinning it from the top, you can also spin it from the bottom of the ship, where you get a little gear down there. I'll lift it up so you can see, and you can spin that to spin those radar dishes. Probably shouldn't be going that fast though. From the very back of the ship, you can see that we get a fin, as well as the engine builds. Now, here's where I have to complain about this set as far as part usage when it comes to creating these. I love getting these quarter wall element pieces. Brand new color and all, definitely a really nice piece to get in the set. However, as far as how they're connected from both sides, they're using those quarter circle plate pieces, and I just think that they should have just used a full-on giant circle piece, because that's something that exists, right? I mean, maybe it may not have existed at the time, but it's a piece that we would later on see from LEGO and definitely would have helped this set a lot better. It's probably something that I may even replace in this set to make it more structurally better. But yeah, as far as building techniques go on this set, probably the worst part is going to be these back engines. As beautiful as they look and as nice as they look, it's really probably the one part of this set that really is the worst as far as building goes. As I said, these don't look bad, it's just the way that you build them is probably the worst part. And you also get a little bit of translucent orange from the back. Is that really all that they could do? And the final thing that I have to talk about, which would be wrong of me not to mention, is the landing gear itself, which definitely helps as far as giving you a way to position this set on a nice flat surface. You can see a lot of Technic connections as far as that's concerned. If you don't like the landing gear, you can easily just fold it up. Make the legs meet in the middle, and definitely makes for a nice look when you have this ship flying around, and you can at this point use that handle, which I don't recommend using because it's probably not very strong, but still, as far as whooshing this around as a kid, this would have been a lot of fun. So overall, for only $90, this is a set that I would have really loved as a kid, and it's a set that I really love now, even though it's very outdated. Building techniques are very outdated. I'd love to see LEGO tackle this again, though I honestly don't think that they ever are gonna touch this again. I mean, if they were gonna do it, I really feel like this year, 2024, for the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace would have been the perfect year to do it. Give us even a set for the Gungan City at this point that we have never seen before, but I guess that's not the case. I also think if they do ever remake this set, it's not going to be as big as you see it here, though it definitely will have a lot less of the issues that I see when it comes to some of the building techniques and the structural formation of this particular set. Minifigures, Qui-Gon Jinn. Definitely a new favorite figure of my collection purely because of that facial expression matching the character that we saw within the Complete Saga video game. One of the things that got me into both LEGO and the world of Star Wars. It really is amazing to see. Other figures, not as detailed as you'd see them now, but still classic designs from that era of LEGO Star Wars. One of my favorite eras of LEGO Star Wars purely because it's what I grew up with. So yeah, that's all that I have to say for this video. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below what your thoughts are on this set. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't upload a new video. So yeah, that's it for now, and I will see you next time. Bye!